What's up, everybody? How's it going? Good
Hi.
evening. So, Nick, it looks like we've got a few people on the stream already, which is great. So we've got Gypsy Wolves in the house. How are you?
Hi, Gypsy.
And we've got Jack as well. Welcome.
Jack. Hi,
From
Jack.
North Carolina. I've got quite a few friends in North Carolina. I hear it's pretty nice out that way. And we've got Flag City Parts.
Hi, Flag City Parts. He's in Ohio, and there's a lot of coin stores in Ohio. It's a great place to go to get coins. And they have a lot of coin shows. So
That sounds great. Here in California, it's a mix. It's hard to find a really good coin store. I did happen upon Liberty Coin that's been really good, but it's not very close. I have to drive pretty far, but not as far as you have to, Nick. I think how far do you have to drive to get to a coin store now?
well, about 2 hours.
It's not that far.
But I would rather go to New Hampshire anyways, because I don't have to pay taxes.
There you go. I think that's a good idea. So for me, it's definitely mixed. It's easier to sell here local, but buying, I've got a 7.5% sales tax, which is quite a bit.
We got 5.5%, but that we don't have a cap on it either. That's on everything.
Yeah, we can at least if you're going to buy $2,000, you don't pay it if you've got that much to go for. And we've got Amy's in here as well. Welcome. Mr. Marmello.
Mr. Marmello.
OC Stacker's in the house. Welcome, OC Stacker. How are you tonight?
Good to see you again.
And well, guys, we've got some good stuff to cover today. So we're going to kind of warm it up with a little bit of chit chat, and then we are going to get down to business and probably we'll just call it 10 minutes or so. But today we're going to be talking about gold and silver miners. Okay. So what I'm really curious about is I have been looking. I had a bunch of gold and silver miners a year ago, and
you did? Okay.
because they just were not performing, and I could do other things with my cash. And some people are investors where they're going to leave the money in the account for a very long time. Other people are looking to revolve their money around a little bit more. So we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about I'll probably show some charts if I can figure out how to do that on here. I might show it from my phone for a couple different gold and silver miners, not for specifics. I don't have all the details on each specific, so I'm not going to give any recommendations today, but I want to show you the charts on how things have gone down quite a bit. And we're going to talk a little bit about, are they a good investment? Do they replace your need for gold and silver, physical gold and silver? We're also going to be talking about, do you guys invest in them? When's the right time to pull the trigger, and what kind of performance can they have? And then we've got a great article talking about it being the ultimate speculative play. So I think that's going to be interesting.
And they should do their own research as well.
Always do your own research on this stuff.
Your own research. And hi, Knox, Stack, and Craig. But yes, do your own research and follow these companies before you invest.
For sure. But before we get to that, I did want to go back on the LCS a little bit to talk to you about that real quick, Nick, too. So what happened to your local LCS?
Well, he closed the doors. He was 90 years old and retired. So it was a nice place to go. I learned a lot from him. He's been collecting since he was 11. So I really miss having him right there. But I do have the opportunities to call him and ask him questions because I learned so much from him from the very get-go. And a lot of the things I do is because I learned it from him. And now I just got a list recently. He doesn't sell anything of his personal stuff. And I mean, he's got really nice stuff. So he sent me a list, and he's starting to put prices on them. And let's just say he's got such nice stuff that we're talking $10,000 range. He sent me that he's willing to sell a Walking Liberty. He's asking $4,500, which is a steal because I looked at PCGS and it's worth $6,500. So there's money to be. He's selling them with money to be made. Although I know he got.
What were the specs on that?
I'm sorry.
What were the specs on that coin?
It was a 1917S, and it's like
Okay.
MS65, graded NGC. So I did look up the value, and it's $6,500. So but
Woo.
with that being said, he's making money too because he purchased these when he was really young. So this coin is stunning for 1917. So
I think that's awesome. When you look at specific coins like that too, I don't have anything like that yet, but
Mhm.
I have bought a few ancient coins, and I do have some other coins that are pre 33, in 64 and older. So I do have some that are graded, some Morgans. I might have a peace dollar too, but none of them are anywhere near that. So that condition
No,
would
right.
be great.
Hi,
Yeah,
Darren. Long time no see.
yeah, it must be
He had
amazing.
he had a Morgan that was, I believe it was an 1879, 1879, yeah, CC, and it was 10.5. But it was an over 65, MS 65. So it's worth it, every bit of it. And it's graded, so we know the value. And I checked the value on that too. And again, you could sell that and flip it and make 2 grand. But you're holding
That's
up a lot of your capital though when you buy the coin though, right? Until you sell it, you're putting up a lot of capital for that coin.
You
Um,
are. So what were your thoughts? Did it even cross your mind to maybe
it
try to do
did.
something like
It
that?
did
Go
cross.
find someone to help you on it?
It did cross. Well, my husband would have a stroke. Number one.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, but no, I'm seriously thinking about that walking liberty. And then he's always like, well, if you want it that bad, I'll put you on a payment plan. And I'm like,
Oh,
I don't
no.
want it that bad though, because I really want the coin, but I don't want to owe him. Um, but he's just a sweet old guy, and I knew that his collection was extensive and really high dollar quality stuff. And I'm just privileged that I'm able to see the stuff and hold it, because we're talking about Morgans that are just, I mean, that was the first Morgan I've seen that was that much that I know that a person close to me has. So, yes, but he closed his doors, and but I still have his phone number.
That's great. Well, what I'm hearing, I've heard a few different things. I've heard that a lot of coin stores are closing their doors because people are retiring, and
Mhm.
there's not a lot of new ones coming up right now. Um, so that's an interesting thing, and I think for that reason, for me, I've been trying to find where are a couple coin stores, even if they're not super close, to get to
Mhm.
know a few of those people and see where they're at. And at least one of them, I know that gentleman's probably getting close to retirement age. Actually, I think he is retired, so I don't know how much longer he'll be doing that. The one I did on Liberty Coins, those guys are fairly young. And Cyrus was really fun for any of you that watched that
Mhm.
video. But I'm hoping to get to know him better and start to see a little bit more of what kind of stack they have there and what's available. But they had a great selection of things, which is really cool because when you're purchasing a coin like the one you're discussing, this isn't
Mhm.
we're not talking about the weight in silver anymore. We're talking
Right.
about a piece of history that you
Yeah.
can't find anywhere else or very few of them. And $6,500 is just an arbitrary price that the last person paid for it. It
Right,
could be
right.
worth a lot more. It could be worth less. It's hard to say. It's whatever someone's willing to pay for it.
Right, but the value is determined, by the grading company.
Yep,
So that's what we're going on. If it was raw, it would be a little bit different. But since
for sure.
I can go on the grading company and get a value. So I do know what's under the value. But I was talking to somebody today that said, coin collecting is changing. And it's somebody that I usually will call up and say, look, I want to sell this. Do you have a buyer? And normally he does. And a lot of times he does. But he has told me recently that coin collecting has changed and people's interests have changed. And the way that we're collecting right now is almost a little bit, it's down quite a bit. Um, he still has some people that he could sell to, but the buyers aren't there as much as they used to be. And I thought that was really interesting because it's hard to fathom. Hi, Rocky Superstar and long lived coins. And Oh, the chat goes, and I can't see it when it gets up there. But that was a little bit. I need to put my glasses on, but no, thanks. So it's disappointing to hear that people are not collecting like they used to.
That can be totally true. So I'm going to do something real quick here because I think I forgot to mention this to you guys. We're going to try something tonight where we had a couple people confused on Tuesday about how to see everything that was going on in the chat that we were talking about. So I'm
Mhm.
just going to put on your channel, Nick, a link over to mine here. We're going to try to see if we can get
Yes.
everybody into my channel tonight for chatting, and then we're going to see how it all works out. We're kind of testing this out to get together on this. Oh, I sent it from you. How's that?
Oh, nice.
Didn't know I could do that. So you guys were figuring this out as we go a little bit here, but we got a couple cool comments in here I wanted to share with you real quick, Nick, and then before we get into our subject for the night. Okay, I have to scroll up here a little bit. Okay, let's see, where did it go here? Gypsy Wolf says, I do have aluminum counterfeit Morgans that are key dates. I could use a bolt cutter for shock value and see who loses it first.
I remember when he purchased those, or he got them from the bank. I believe he got them from the bank, somebody that he knew was a teller, and she called him up to come get the coin. So I don't think he paid a lot of money for those either, which is good.
Oh, man. Yeah, you'll have to do a video on that. That would be fun. Yeah, so Gypsy Wolves, if you could help us out with Nick's a little bit, just to point people over here. We're testing something out to see if it works. And then we'll figure it out too. And then West Texas Stacker, welcome. I don't know if we called you out earlier. So welcome for coming out. They're talking about rigged wheels. You guys are bringing the rigged wheels over here, huh?
We won't have any rigged over here.
No, but Flag City Parts does have a 3/9 fine New England Patriots coin. And then you don't want to read the rest of the comment.
Why don't I?
I may melt in a video.
Oh my word. Flag City, you know better than that. Send me a picture. Oh, I do have an update though. I have found a person that I may be able to get a regular season football flip coin. I have been,
Ooh,
that's
awesome.
my ultimate, and I'm not going to tell anybody until I can do it because I don't want to change myself. But I have found a place where I can possibly purchase one within my price range. And once I do, then I'll explain how I was able to find this and who I spoke with to get one. That's going to be fun.
Gosh, that would make a great video. You should totally do that.
Yeah, and so I'll have more information next week on the football flip coin. But it was very exciting.
I think it would be awesome. Knox Stacks went out to a new coin store today, out of town. Oh, he's out of town. Okay. And they had about 30 generic rounds, and that was it. So it sounds like they just didn't have a lot in stock. Wow. And Metal Scholar drives 20 to 30 minutes. I'm about 35 to 40 minutes to get to the coin store that I usually go to. There are a few others on the way, but their selection is more limited. And they won't take cash anymore. So that kind of is a bummer for me.
Oh my gosh. They're already starting with me.
What's going on here?
OC Stacker already.
Oh,
and
no.
we had, I don't know if we spoke to, we said Amy Harrell, good to see you, sweet lady. And Seymour and Brent joined us, and Trinity, and John Jacobs. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining us.
So we will have some Patriots chat in about every one of these conversations, at least during football season. It's going to happen, guys. But you got to be nice to Nick, okay? This is a hard year.
It's a really hard year. Yes, I'm broken. I'm broken. You guys, I'm really broken.
Oh, man. It was good. Well, let's talk a little bit about our subject here. So what I wanted to do real quick is for all of you in the chat, wait to do this until you hear the whole thing. If you currently own my gold or silver mining company stocks, put a 1 in the chat. If you if you do not own any of those right now, put a 2 in the chat. And then if you've previously owned them but you don't right now, put a 3 in the chat. I'm curious to see where you guys sit.
Hi, Christopher. So what was the 3? Metal Scholar, nice to see you. And Gary?
And so 1 is if you currently have gold and silver mining stocks.
Mhm.
Number 2 is you do not. And number 3 is you previously have, but you've sold them.
Gotcha, okay.
So I would be a 3. I actually did have, you know, not a lot of money, but a little bit of money into precious metals mining stocks. A lot of them were gold, and I think I only had 2 that were silver. A couple of them were what you call a royalty company, so they don't actually mine. They just have the right to a percentage of the profits that come from the miners, and I've done that in the past. So let's look at the count here. So we've got mostly two. So mostly people that have not, but we do have a couple people that have. So I'd be curious for any of those that that have owned them but sold them. I'd be curious to why you sold them. So leave us a comment about that. I'd like to hear that as we get into this article. And then also for the ones that do not have them, which is the rest of the group here, I'd be curious to know if it's something you're considering or if it's something that you just don't trust and you don't want to touch right now. But I'd be curious about that. But let me pull up my article here so I can go through it with you guys. All right.
Big E.
Okay, here we go.
You.
So, Nick, is there a way for me to share my screen? I don't know.
Is it present down there on the bottom? I'm really not. I've never. I'm so low tech. I don't even. Yeah, I think it says present.
Oh, there we go.
I think you can do it that way.
Okay, so let me do this. Let me close down the other stuff, and we'll just have this article up. Okay. Let's see if this will work. Okay. Right here. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
You did it.
I did it. I figured it out, guys. All right. So I found this article and I thought it was interesting the other day. It talks about gold, silver, and why all mining stocks are speculative investments. Okay, so it looks like we've got a Don Durrett is the journalist, I guess, here, and it looks like he's got a podcast here. So if you want to check that out, you can go check that out. He's calling out some specific stocks, so you can see those up here too. But here's the summary I wanted to share with you guys. Don Durrett discusses his unique approach to investing in gold and silver mining stocks, focusing on long-term gains based on higher gold and silver prices. He highlights specific mining companies with strong risk-reward profiles, including Montage Gold, Hellastar Metals, and West Red Lake Gold. I don't know any of those companies. Durrett emphasizes the macro factors supporting gold and silver, such as breakdown of the U.S. economy and the potential for a shortage of silver due to high demand from fabricators. So first off, I'm going to caveat this. What we're looking through here is not financial advice. We're not giving that out to you guys tonight. We're basically sharing an article that I thought was interesting because I would agree that gold and silver mining stocks are probably about as speculative as you can get outside of the crypto market. And I think he's going to make that case for us a little bit here too. So I did read a little bit of it, but I did not want to cheat too much because it's kind of fun. Maybe you guys having some reactions to Nick and I as we go through this right now. Let's see here. So let's get past the beginning part of it here. So the strategy that he's done is he does not, I'll just read what he said. I don't invest in gold and silver mining stocks as a hedge, and I don't invest in gold and silver mining stocks to take money on an annual basis. So just to clarify that, he is not buying gold and silver mining stocks to hedge against inflation right now. He's also not buying them to take out like an annual dividend from them or anything like that. A few of them do pay dividend, but he must be reinvesting or rolling it over, or he's buying the stocks that don't have that. And I would kind of caveat that too, Nick. For me, gold is wealth insurance. It is savings. Um, it is not something I'm buying to uh, that's just going to go skyrocketing up in value to where I'm going to be able to go on a vacation or do other things. With that said, I have had some coins that I've been able to sell and make some money off of them because there was collectability to them. But my intention wasn't necessarily to do that to begin with. I just happened to see that one of my coins went up a lot in value, so I was okay selling it. I could pocket some money from it. But in general, for me, gold is really something that's just kind of locking in my value today, and it's a way for me to have savings out of the bank. Silver, on the other hand, for me primarily is a bartering tool, and then secondarily, it's kind of fun for collectible coins. So, um, I've got a couple Roman coins that are silver, and then I'm a Star Wars guy, as I've mentioned before, so I'll have Star Wars coins, and and then I've got some Marvel coins and some other just fun shapes. But for me, I try not to go too crazy on those, and I do have a fair amount, but I try not to go too crazy on those because it's not part of my main stacking strategy. Um, but I do think gold is more of a hedge than silver is for inflation. It tends to be a lot more stable. And then as far as making money on an annual basis, neither my gold or silver can be counted on physically to do that. And I would say most of the mining stocks you're going to look at aren't going to do that either. So that makes sense to me. Do you have any questions on that, Nick? I can't see the comments right now, so I don't know if anybody had a question on that. Let me see if I can pull up comments on this other screen. You're not there, Nick. All right, I don't know where Nick went. I don't know if that booted her. Maybe she hasn't been on that whole time. Let's see what happened. Oh, I don't want to share my screen if it boots her out. Nick, if you can hear me, I don't see you in the screen. Uh-oh. All right, well, hopefully she'll come back in here in a second. So I'll leave it on me, guys, and I'll kind of read some of this off so you can see it real quick. And then I've got comments over on my other screen here. All right, so I want to look at that real fast, see if anybody had any comment on that. So Knox mentions if he's going to do anything in the stock market, it's going to be a total stock market index ETF. Craig mentions as long as the stock pays out monthly or quarterly dividends, he'll invest in it. Hopefully Nick will be back here, guys. She's been having some issues with her computer today. So the other thing that I thought was interesting in here too, let me just put it here. He says, so I invest for long-term bases on higher gold and silver prices. And my targets initially when I started writing for Seeking Alpha in 2016, there you are, Nick, were pushed back quite a bit on my approach because I focus at $3,000 gold, which I think is a conservative number. And then I use GSR, gold to silver ratio of 30% or 30. Which I don't think is crazy talk. So I wanted to ask you that question, Nick. What do you think about that? So in this article, when he's investing in gold and silver, he has a plan for the gold to hit $3,000 per ounce, and then he's looking at a gold to silver ratio of 30. So that would put silver at $100. Is that something you think is in the future?
In the future, in the far, far, far future.
How far do you think?
So
You don't have to put the date, but you think we're talking like 6 months, a couple of years, a decade? What are you thinking?
oh, well over a decade. Even if and it may not even hit that in my opinion.
For both or just for one of those two?
for the silver.
For the silver, okay. So I would agree with that. I think, personally, unless everything crashes and everything comes
Mhm.
unwound, um, I could see $3,000 gold happening when the Fed lowers interest rates, and and if there's enough banking issues that people are fleeing, um, bonds, and they're fleeing cash, and they're looking for something that they think is safer, which tends to be gold. I could see us getting up to $2,500 an ounce. Um, to me, I think to get to the 3,000, we're going to have to see something crazier happen that hasn't happened yet.
I
Um,
think gold has more potential than silver, in my
for sure,
opinion.
for
Um,
sure. So in the next 12 months, I think, could you see $3,000 gold? It's possible, but I think there'd have to be a few other factors, and this new war that's happening could be something like that. And we could also see something, you know, within the next 2 years where it hits that gold to silver ratio going from about what 83, 84 right now down to 30. I haven't seen that while I've been stacking. So to me, what would cause that? I've been kind of thinking through that, and most of what the research I've done is when that ratio really starts to flip, it has to do with people um, either deciding gold's too expensive, I'm going to put more money into silver, or oftentimes it ends up being where there's just a huge demand for silver, and so it starts catching up. And I think a lot of people on this channel probably are aware of how much silver is manipulated. But in your opinion, Nick, what would cause the silver, the gold to silver ratio go from like 84 down to 30?
oh, I really don't know. I don't think I'll see that.
Do
I
any
really
of you
don't.
guys on the chat here watching tonight, do you think we could see, let's just say in the next decade, do you think we could see a gold to silver ratio of 30? I'm curious to see. So if you think yes, put a one in the chat. If you think no, there's no way we're going to have that, put a two.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't see it possible. And really, people can speculate, but it's all speculation. And we do know we think it's manipulated, but still, we have to go by the facts of what spot price is, right?
yep.
So I can only base what I'm going to do by what it has done in the past.
Okay. I would agree with that.
So you've just got to research and see and look. I mean, there was times back in the 80s, we're looking at sometimes like we're having now. Hi, Randy Matthews.
So Seymour Rivers says never. It's never going to happen.
I don't think so.
I think 30 is really low. I can't remember a time where it's been that low. Most of the charts I looked at, it seemed to fluctuate between 60 and 80 on the ratio
Yeah,
scale.
exactly. I've never seen it lower.
To go to
Um,
30 would be hard. I know people say biblically it got down to a 10 to 1 ratio.
mhm.
Um, but
That's a long time ago. I
I
mean,
don't know. It's a
that's
long time ago, and maybe they didn't have a lot of it. And I don't know. I hear it comes out of the ground that way. It's close to 10 to 12 to 1 ratio. But
mhm.
I just don't know that that's going to happen. And I know we do consume a lot of it now. Maybe if everybody goes solar and that's the only way we're getting energy, and
Craig
but I
remembers
don't
it
know.
15 to 1. 15 to 1. Wow.
Okay, so what do we have here? We've got okay, so we've got a couple twos here.
Trading
I
spot.
don't think it's gonna happen. So Mark's just not going to sell, so he doesn't really care too much about the ratio at the moment, I think.
And
Um,
really, when I'm buying too, I'm not really looking at spot price except for when hi Rocky Superstar and Tully's here and Shiny Man. These are all
okay, so
temptation.
Shiny Man's correcting us. It's 7 to 1 ratio in the ground. So technically, you could get down to that ratio. I can't find a chart that shows that. So I would not bet your farm or your house or your future that it's going to a 7 to 1 ratio. I would not plan on that. Could it happen? Yes, maybe. I don't know. But to your point, Nick, I think, we're probably to see it go below 50 would be something that I'm not even able to comprehend at the moment.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'll ever see that because gold continues to rise, and it holds a lot more than silver holds.
Okay, so I'm going to cruise through this because he's trying to sell us on 3 different mining stocks. I don't want to get into that right now. Um, so what he does, okay, here's another point that's made in this too that I think is important. Um, he talks about starting in 2007, 2008, the Fed acquired a third mandate, which has become very obvious, but they haven't talked about it. And that third mandate is basically managing the economy so the economy doesn't implode. And
Well,
so they call it the Fed put. All from 2009 all the way to 2020, the Fed put. Um, well, the Fed was basically making sure the stock market didn't crash. Okay, so that's one of the things you guys see, right? If you go back to 2020, 2021, 2022, actually 2020 and 2021, as soon as the market crashed, they started pumping a lot of liquidity into the market, which caused the stocks to go back up, and they started kind of slowly opening a few things, but not really. And you started seeing a lot of YouTubers that are in the financial space talk about buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. And people started buying the dip and they made crazy amounts of money. And
mhm.
that's what they're kind of referring to as the Fed put. Um, and then it got into modern monetary theory where you basically don't care about debt. That's what we're in today. I'd have to find it right now if someone else can find it, but let me see if I can find it here on another news article. I think the federal government has just spent a crazy amount of money in the last month. It was like a $500 billion. Um,
Yes, and those numbers from the government make it looks like our economy is doing really well, but it's the government pumping money into the economy.
yeah, I can't find it here, so I can't exactly quote that, guys, but
Mhm.
it was a huge amount of billions of dollars that we've just spent in a very, very short period of time. And so there is this belief with this MMT, modern monetary theory, that if you have the reserve currency, you can just print as much debt as you want, you're going to be okay. Well, my theory is if you do too much of that, other countries are going to decide that they don't want to buy the debt anymore. They're going to realize there's inflation.
Yeah,
I
what
don't.
if China decided to say, "Okay, it's come due. I want my money."
Yeah, I think we're in trouble with that. Um, and then he talks about a few different presidents, Obama and Bush, adding $1 trillion to the deficit. And then, as you guys very well know, there was another 10 trillion added, and then it just keeps going up. Go look at the debt calculator on the web, and you'll see crazy numbers on there.
Hmm.
Um,
Scary, crazy.
so
With the government almost shut down because of due to our debt here
yes,
recently. So
yep, that
so
is true.
they're always increasing that debt ceiling, and we can't get our act together and stop spending.
Okay, let me look through this again real quick here.
Hi, Tiger Stacker.
Tiger's in the house. Welcome, buddy.
I think he's really going to see about getting you a tiara.
Oh, he didn't put that in here again, did
No, he didn't. I just said it.
he?
But
Well, no,
mining stocks and your physical gold, it's in a different class of investments, wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you say?
it totally is. So, okay, first off, if Tiger gives me a tiara, I will wear it once. Okay, that's it,
I knew you would.
but only once. And I won't
I
throw it
bet you
away,
wear
but maybe my wife will wear it around the house. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
it.
but I thought that was really funny. But no, to me, let's kind of go back to some of this because this is starting to read like a mining sponsored thing. I just don't want to get into that right now with everybody. But a lot of what I look at is if you look at the mining stocks and you go and look at any of the gold or silver mining stocks, or at least let's say 95% of them, there's a couple that are kind of moving up right now. There may have been a new discovery. They may have recently done a promotion to where there's a lot of people that are jumping in with speculation right off the bat. These can be great stocks where you can make a crazy amount of money. So I would agree with the article that gold and silver mining stocks are a speculative investment. We don't know when it's going to go up. I'm going to see if I can show on my
And in more, I was reading a lot of articles today, and a lot more are not doing well than are doing well. So
Yes.
you've got to research them, and a lot of them are penny stocks as well.
Let me see if I can pull. I'll try to pull up a chart here that I can show you guys um, as we're talking. But a lot of them aren't doing very well at all right now. And honestly, it could be a great time to buy. I don't know. You need to go do your individual research, but it looks like they are back down to like 2020 prices. And so there could be a good time to buy. But I also don't know if this last little hump that they've had was an anomaly. You have to go back a little bit further and looking at them.
Well, it's production costs going up.
It
So they're
is.
having to put a
It is.
lot more money into it, and so that's what keeps them low as well. So it continually the production cost is a problem, is an issue. And they're not producing as much. So that's going to make them not do as well. So there's a lot of issues with these companies. And I have been watching a few of them,
So
and
GLD's been doing better um, over the last year, and that one's an ETF. Let's see if I can find see if I can find another one in here.
so I looked at one, I'm not going to name the company, but one ETF company, and it's down 4% for the year. But if you hold the physical gold, gold may be down, but still it's 5%. It's up 5% for the year.
Yeah, so a lot of the ones I was looking at that I've been kind of following, they are down for the year, um, and they could be a better buying time. So here, my theory and thought on this: why don't I hold any mining stocks right now? The number one reason I don't hold any mining stocks right now is because finances are really tight. To be
Mhm.
honest with you, if finances were like they were last year for me, a year and a half ago before the inflation went in, I would probably
Mhm.
still be holding some mining stocks, and I would just hold them for a long run of kind of a gamble. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I can hold on to that and see where it goes. For me, it's very much speculation. You don't have anything for it. You don't have the physical metals. A lot of the reasons you invest in gold and silver is to hold the physical metals.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say, in the stacking community, isn't wouldn't you say that these type of stocks go against what everybody believes, and that's why they stack it, and that's why they have it at home, because they can hold it. You hold it, you own it, so to
Correct.
speak. So it kind of these, and I see in these companies, new companies all the time even pop up. Um, so it is, to me, going against the stacking mentality.
I think so too. So, but with that said, people like to speculate here and there. So if you know you're speculating and you know that's what you're doing, then it can be part of a portfolio. Um, in my opinion, it should be a very small part of a portfolio, like
Right.
between 1% and 3%. Also, not financial advice. That's just what I would do if I were to invest in them right now. When I look at what's going on out there, I'm more concerned about having the physical and shoring things up in my house um, than I am in necessarily trying to make a bunch of money off of it. But I do think traditionally, when the Fed starts lowering interest rates and we start to see gold and silver jumping, those are typically the better times to jump into the stocks because they've kind of gone down and bottomed out a little bit.
Mhm.
But to your point, Nick, I think I don't know. I'm not going to count on a gold to silver ratio going way down. Um, I know a lot of people are massive silver bugs and they buy a lot of silver because they know there's going to be a silver squeeze or they know that that ratio is going to change. And for me, that's still speculation.
I
So,
agree, and we've been hearing that ever since I've been stacking gold and silver, that there's going to be a silver shortage, and I just don't believe there is.
so that's just kind of my thing. So a lot of people talk about it, and hey, if you have silver and you have gold, and there ends up being a shortage, or we end up having the Fed starts lowering rates at some point, and you have people starting to flock back to the precious metals in bigger quantities. Um, I think prices will go up. I think we'll see that. But for me, I'm not buying them to try to make the money. I buy other things like real estate and build
Mhm.
businesses to make my income. This is really preservation. But even with that too, things are going to happen in cycles, and predicting a cycle is really
Yes,
hard. So many
it
people
is.
thought the Fed would have already lowered rates by now, and we would have had everything take off, and it hasn't.
No, and I don't think it will the next time they meet either.
It might
Um,
not.
I think it's got a couple times to go up, maybe 25 basis points.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'm with Tiger over here, Nick. He says decreased income and increased prices has made him wait on any more speculation, and that's where I'm at. I'm not in speculation mode, and if I have anything that I think is a little too pricey for me right now, I'm selling. If I have stuff
he's 79.
that I think is well priced, I'm going to stack that. I'm going to keep it
Mhm.
behind me. So
I've
um,
never been in speculation mode. I really haven't been. Because
not much.
I do not like speculation. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just going to do slow and steady and just don't get into debt purchasing. But I can't stand the speculation. Um, because when I do speculate, it's always wrong. It's always wrong. I
Yeah,
never even come close.
that happens to me too. So usually it's like a 0.5% of my portfolio with that,
Mhm.
and and then my accountant calls me up and says, "What are you doing? Stop
And,
it."
and not all of these, right now, because I don't understand it as much as I should, but if I was to invest in one of these companies, I'm going to invest the amount that I'm okay with losing, that I wouldn't be like go have a heart attack if I lost some money. But there are some mining companies that do have incentives with the company if you hold their stock, where you can get cheaper, cheaper rounds or um, discounts. So in some aspect, if that's worth it to you, but I think you have to purchase quite a bit. But there are some that do have those incentives as well, if you're a shareholder.
And Barbara says she does not believe in the shortage thing.
I don't either.
So here's what I've seen every year I've been stacking. So for the last 3 or 4 years here, um, and I've stacked more since about 2021, um, more heavily. But there's always articles that come out that somewhere in Africa someone found 1 billion
Mm,
tons of gold or whatever. There's some crazy outlandish thing. And there's always articles about gold and silver. No one wants it. It's all about crypto. And then you get the silver squeeze guys show up, and it's all about just buy silver because it's going to go way up. And then you get people buying these 100-ounce bars,
yeah.
um, and they stack them. And those are not the easiest things to move. They're a lot
Yeah.
easier to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's heavy, I mean, if you have to get up and go somewhere, are you going to be able to take all that with you? I doubt it. Um,
Nope.
so I don't want all that weight anyways. So hi, Andy. I don't want all the weight.
I don't either. So you guys, if you were to take,
That's right, Barbara.
yeah. So I don't want all the weight either. I like silver. I like gold. But to me, a lot of this comes down to building a strategy and sticking to it,
Mhm.
knowing that you can modify it over time when things happen. Um, there are way too many variables for me, just like Barbara's mentioning there, to do a lot of speculation. And but every once in a while, I get a little bit of a bug, and I'll buy something, and then I'll realize, don't do that.
At
Uh,
Texas Stacker, that was the company I was thinking about, that does have a lot of incentives if you purchase their stock. And Silver Patriots, good to see you. Now, hi, Chew. So, yes, I'm looking at a few companies that I've seen some of the YouTubers promote, and I've been watching these stocks for probably 6 months or more, and I have not been enticed to even put any of my money in. So when I purchased some crypto, I put $100 in. I was okay with losing $100. I ended up making 2,500, and then I pulled it out. But I haven't even seen anything right now that I want to put $100 into. Um,
so here's a good point too, Nick, from what you're just saying. Um, and I think this applies to everybody and everything you can do with speculation. If you're doing speculation, only put enough money in that you're willing to lose.
mhm.
So you're not going to get yourself in trouble.
And you
And
don't
when
want to go
there's
broke.
and when some crazy profits happen, take your profits. Get do not get
Greedy.
angry and greedy
Don't
over
get greedy because you're gonna lose every single time. Once greed gets into something, you're gonna lose. And if I would have held off like a week, I would have lost. I would have been down to like $50. So I pulled it out. Thank God I did at that time, and I made $2,500, and I haven't put any in since.
I think that's awesome. And in anytime I do a speculation thing too, what I try to do is take back my initial investment, and then I made, so for example, you take your $100 back, right?
Mhm.
And now you've got $2,400 left. I would take some of that to pay myself back and have some fun, go do something fun. I would take some of that and buy gold and silver with it. And then I would take some of it and I would probably put it to the side for another speculation if I'm going to do that again, or just walk away from that. But Knox Stacks talks about speculating a little bit with flipping coins. And I have done that to a degree, but it is a little different. And he points that out there as well. If you're flipping a physical coin, your risk is the difference between the premium that you paid and the
Mhm.
spot price, right?
Mhm.
That's really what your risk comes down to. So if you bought a coin for $50, hoping it's going to go to $80 and it goes down to $30, you're not out the whole amount of money. And you can always hold it and hope it goes up more, or you can sell it
Mhm.
and move into something else. But speculating with stocks in general, companies can go to zero, and you may have the wrong timing on things too.
Now I have some stock in oil, and that pays dividends. So, and we're not really getting into the investing, but you can buy fractional shares as well. Um, so you don't have to put a lot of money in it to diversify. Um, and just research, just do your research. Look at the company. They have so many good resources online for you to be able to go check out and learn what you should look at with a company. A lot of their financials are public record.
That is true. You guys can look that up. And with any of this stuff, so if you guys are going to touch the stock market at all, you have to do your research. Okay. Now, someone had brought up an index fund. Okay. If you don't want to do your research, you can always get an index fund and it's going to spread your risk across a lot more companies. However,
Mhm.
stocks can go to zero, companies can go to zero. You can have a stock market crash. One of the things that I think is important for people to consider, and this is what you do want to talk to your financial advisor about. And if your financial advisor doesn't do this, you might want to look for a different one to get with, who advise you on the top of your current one, or maybe you go with a new one. But if you have all your money in the stock market and you go to retire and you're starting to pull some of those funds in your retirement, and we happen to have a massive stock market crash, let's just say 30 to 50% crash, you are going to be in a world of hurt if you have to keep pulling money out of there to be able to survive. So for me, the stock market, even having an index fund or having many stocks, is not diversification in securing your financial future. It is just part of a little strategy there. So things like gold and silver will be a way to help you. Dividend stocks is definitely something brought. And then I think another part of this that's important too is finding things that create cash flow, so you're not having to sell your equity, and you can pass that on to your family down the road. And all of these things are easier said than done. There's a lot of work that has to go into this. But anytime you're spending a significant amount of money, and for each of us, that's going to be a different number. But when you feel like it's significant, where you have a little bit of a gut wrenching, feeling in your stomach, if you were to lose that money, you need to do a lot of research. You need to put
Mhm.
a team together to help you make sure you're making the right decision and get
Yes,
multiple.
always educate yourself. I mean, that's so important, and I can't stress that enough.
I completely agree. Um, and I've done it all. I've had money, I've lost money, I've rebuilt and done the cycle a couple times. And you learn a lot from it, guys. So I think that's important to do. But that's everything I wanted to cover on that article. So I'm not going to tell you guys not to invest in gold and silver miners. I think there's going to be probably a pretty good time to do it, and people that do will make a lot of money.
I
Um,
think getting in on a startup,
yeah,
investing in a
you
startup,
get
and
a ton of money
then
on that.
selling quickly. I think that would be where the money is to be made.
You
Um,
totally can. I mean, but your point, Nick, like $100, you weren't going to have that gut-wrenching feeling in your stomach if you lost
Right.
$100.
Right.
That $100 turned into $3,500. Or was it
Yeah.
25?
It was 25. It was 2,500.
25.
Yes.
So it
Mhm.
turned into $2,500. That's a huge multiplier, right? So
Yeah, that's a
a lot of
huge
times when
gain.
you're doing speculation, you don't have to put a lot of money in there to have a great result out of it. Okay.
Right.
So
Mhm.
just keep that in mind. Don't go, you see the lotto for $1.7 billion. Don't go and put $10,000 in the lotto to go buy a bunch of tickets hoping you're going to win that thing.
Right. Right, exactly. And a lot of these just, a lot of them are penny stocks. So go research them, watch them. I suggest putting I have a thing on my phone where I watch the stock and it'll tell me if it's up and down and what's going on within the company, their financials. And I watch those consistently. So and a lot of them are penny stocks. So if I found one that I was really interested in, I probably would put $100 in. I just haven't found that yet.
For sure. So you never want to throw the money out. Well, we just have a few minutes left um, before 8. We're going to try to get these to be as close to an hour long shows as we can, guys. And that's a request from some of my family members, making sure that they still have a dad. Um,
Yes, and it's late on my end too, and
and
I
it's
have
late on your
to,
end for you guys. So a
yeah,
couple things I
make it
just
I
wanted to
work
throw
tomorrow.
out for everybody. We're looking at we'd love to get some feedback from you guys. We're contemplating doing something that we think could be fun for all of you, which would be doing a coin roll hunt. And so I'm in the process of securing boxes of half dollars, and we've got kind of a fun plan with that. And we'll put a little bit more information on that in both of our channels under the members section for what do you call it? I guess it's a survey. And we'd love to find out who would have interest in participating in that. So typically there's a buy-in fee, and then we're going to coin roll hunt, and whatever silver's found, you guys get to keep. And we're looking to go a step further, which is everybody's going to walk away with silver. No one's going to have a situation where they don't get any silver. We don't want you to overly speculate.
Yes, but I think it's gonna be fun because I like to look at the coins and learn about them, and I've shared a lot of my cheat sheets with, people in the chat already, and I think, and I have a couple more I need to send them too, but yes, they will walk away with some type of silver.
That's what we'd like to do. So look for those quizzes, surveys. I'm not even using the right. Those all work,
Polls,
but
like the polls on,
poll.
YouTube.
There we go.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah, we're
yeah.
going to do the poll. So look for that, guys. I'd like to see what you think on that, and we'll put that in place. I think we're looking at November 4th, the first Saturday in November, and then if that works out and everything's fun, we'll do that another time. So that'll be good. Excuse me. And then last thing that someone just brought up, I just wanted to address real quick is uranium. You see a lot of people talking about uranium these
Mhm.
days. You guys, it's also a speculative play because we don't know that the countries are going to build more nuclear plants. Probably most of us on here think they should, and that
I
it's a
think they
great
should, and I
idea,
wish they would, but
and it would lower the energy costs, but I can't
mm,
tell you for sure it's going to happen. So that is a speculative thing that kind of gets lumped in. Same with lithium, will get lumped in with the precious metals when you're talking about mining stocks. Um, and it all depends on what you think is going to happen in the future. Are we all driving electric cars with big batteries? And are we all going to be using nuclear energy? So just do your homework on those things.
because the
Um,
government did close a lot of, nuclear plants, didn't they?
they
And
did. So
like before? I think they did.
yeah, I think California only has one plant left open, and they're only extending that for a few years. We just don't even produce very much electricity or power in this state. Most of it we buy from out of state.
Right.
And then they're trying to get everybody to put solar panels on their house. And
Right,
so,
so then again, then that would hurt the, nuclear, right? I mean, if we're going into solar panels, and I can't stand solar panels, to be honest with you, because in my state, it's not gonna work well.
solar panels really work well in the Southwest. Once you get outside of the Southwest, you start having issues with weather,
Yes,
and you start having issues with the clouds. Like here in California, we have maybe 2 or 3 months where it's cloudy, and the rest of the year there's no cloud in the sky.
4 o'clock, it gets dark.
Yeah,
What
we're
does that
like
change, you
six
know?
thirty, 7.
So
Um,
we're limited on even having
yeah.
the sun, you know, so
So I don't think that works everywhere. So we'll see what happens. But um, Tiger wants a nuclear car. Just don't rear end anybody, Tiger.
well, I won't be driving an electric car, hopefully.
Yeah, with the electric cars, I'm more concerned about the ability for them to turn them off and regulate where you can go and create
Yeah.
a boundary for you, that kind of stuff. I'm not very excited about that idea.
No, I believe the government could control that too, when we could plug our cars in and when we can, or even how far we can go with them because,
There you go.
all these charging stations.
For sure. Now, Seymour brings up one is hydrogen. I think hydrogen, if we're talking about cars, is probably the best alternative to go with hydrogen fuel cells. There's a lot of promise there. And then there was another comment that I was laughing about here. Flag City, Flag City Parts wants to turn the whole state of Arizona into a big solar panel. So I don't know. I don't know if that would work. The problem with electricity too, guys, is it loses its potency when you go long distance. So by the time it got up to Nick, it still wouldn't be very efficient.
No, and I'm not one that's gonna wanna have candles everywhere either.
Oh yeah, you don't want to do that. And John Jacobs thinks in 10 years you'll be flying everywhere you go. You know,
Like the Jetsons?
I got excited for that a long time ago. It was in
Mm.
1991. There was a Popular Mechanics that had this flying car in it, and I thought that was so cool. And I still don't have one. They don't even mass produce them or anything.
I would love that jetpack that you put on your backpack, like, and then you
There
can
you
just
go. Jetpack would be fun.
I wanna do that.
That's hilarious.
I still wanna do that.
And okay, let's see if we had any other comment on that. Yeah, California
That's
can't
right,
do.
Jeff, that's
I
true.
think we're supposed to have by 2035 everybody's electric car in the state of California. And I understand there's not even enough lithium that can be produced by that time to make the batteries to do
And
it.
those batteries are super expensive. It's gonna be costly for us to all
Oh,
move
yeah.
to those cars.
They're like $15,000 to $30,000 depending on
Yeah,
what
my
you need.
sister does car loans and, she works for a bank, and she's saying up like the Teslas are 25,000 for a battery, and you have to put that up front before you even purchase the car. You gotta buy the battery. And
Whatever.
then they go I mean, she's seen so many problems with the batteries.
Yeah, so there's been two times where I've had a chat with my wife about a few years ago where I thought it would be a good idea to maybe look at a Tesla before I did more research on it.
Mhm.
And we ran into two of them on fire on the freeway where we had to wait for 45 minutes while the thing burned out. And that was enough for her to decide not to do that. Now, this isn't a rip on Tesla. That just happened to be the models that we saw. I've had a BMW in a parking structure go up in flames, and I had to go move my car so it didn't burn down. It's the EVs, it's the batteries. If they get punctured in any way, they're very flammable. So, there are other technologies that could be used, but they can't store enough power or they're too
And what
heavy.
if and with flooding, I mean, they're not good in weather,
No, with flooding, it's horrible. So you
you
get
know?
into a
So
flood situation, those things can just blow up too. So
in underwater, they can catch on fire,
they
and
can.
continually burn.
They can. So I would just, if you guys, maybe you guys have an electric car, I don't want to scare you too much about having it. I think it's a pretty slim probability that your car is going to burn up. I just happened to see two of them within a month when I was talking to my wife about it, and then she's like,
Mm.
"Forget it, never say
Well,
it
there
again."
was a big story too when they were having the hurricanes in Florida that they were finding a lot of cars on fire,
Yeah, that's true.
when they had a lot of flooding. So,
And then shiny man. Last thing, I don't know how we turned into cars on this because it was the nuclear stuff, but he has a hybrid. And one thing I'll tell you guys is the plug-in hybrids I like those better. Like I have a friend that has a Jeep plug-in hybrid, and it does better off-roading because it has an extra 1,000 pounds, and he does get closer to like 30 miles to the gallon, maybe 32, which is a lot better for a Jeep than 18. But I think the country made a mistake by going after EVs 100%, and they should have gone after plug-in hybrids. I think you would have had a lot more cars that way. So that's maybe the last thing I'll say on that. But Nick, I had a great chat with you today. Hopefully
yeah.
everybody had fun in the chat as well. And do we have a subject for next Tuesday yet? I don't know if you found one.
No, I haven't yet. Does anyone have a suggestion on what we could that they want to hear?
You guys have any suggestions for us for Tuesday? All right, it takes a second for you guys to catch up to us here.
And I could look around too, just to see if there's anything of interest.
AI. You guys want to go into AI? We could go into AI if you want.
Well, that's you, right?
That's me. That's my background.
I
So
would love to ask you questions about that because I think there's a lot that um Nick shooting gallery. I think that there's a lot to be learned about that. So I would love to just pick your brain on AI.
nanotech and AI. Okay. I think AI will be a whole session. We can do a second one on nanotech down the road too. Um,
Okay, then that's it. Then we're going to
let's
talk
do
about
AI.
AI.
We're going to talk about AI.
Yeah. And we could also incorporate that what that means for coins.
It does. I actually have a coin, the first coin that was designed by AI. I can show that to you guys.
So I think that would be really interesting.
I might have it right here. Let me look. I don't know if it's in the stack.
Rise of the robots. Let's do it.
No, it's not in the stack, but I will find it for Tuesday, and I'll show you guys. I'll get the story behind it too. It comes from, I think it's Intaglio Mint is where it comes from.
And I think that AI will take over grading. That's speculation. Oh my gosh, I just speculated. Wow, but I think they'll
In
have
time,
AI.
yes. So humans are way better pattern recognition
Mhm.
machines than AI than robots are or AI. But if you teach them how to think like a human, and then you start helping them understand how to read those patterns, they're getting really, really good at it. And then if you can have that efficiency of a computer, oh my gosh! So I'll come talking to you guys about it. We'll talk about some of the technologies that
That'll
are
be
out there.
interesting. And SPB is in the chat. Good to see
FTP,
you,
what's up?
friend.
Just say no to AI. I know,
Just
man. I'm a little scared. But here's the reality of it. I don't think AI is going to take everybody's jobs, but this is a little different than the last. Well, all the
but it could,
industrial
I mean,
revolution.
it could take eliminate some jobs, though. It really could.
Well, it for sure will eliminate. It will for sure eliminate a lot of jobs, but I don't think it's going to take all the jobs. I don't think you're going to be getting a massage from an AI robot right
Yeah.
now. Maybe down the road. You're probably not going to want to sit down with an AI to do your financial planning. You're probably still going to want a human that uses AI to do it. So a lot of what we're going to talk about is there's a lot of using AI to make you more efficient. I think there's going to be a lot of that. I think there'll be new jobs that get created that we don't know of yet. That seems to happen every time. The problem this time is that we could see major disruption in multiple industries at the same time, and that could have some crazy effects on the economy. So
Mhm.
we'll talk about that a little bit, and then I'll see if I can get some videos up to show you guys some cool stuff on AI that we can watch too.
Now, is it are we sharing this technology with other countries?
Every country's in a race to build this stuff.
Okay.
So, and the other thing we'll talk about is what does AI mean? AI is like saying digital.
Okay.
Um, it can mean anything from a digital calculator, right? Digital means anything from a digital calculator to like graphics on a high tech Hollywood movie, or making a digital phone call. So AI is kind of the same thing. AI can just be a mathematical equation
Mhm.
that does something. You put input in, and it gives you input out, and it starts to refine and understand how to be more efficient using statistics, all the way to something like ChatGPT that is basically learning at a super fast rate, where it's able to reproduce music. So you
Wow.
can go and say, "Write me Michael Jackson's next song," and it can go do that.
And that's crazy. That's crazy to me.
It's totally crazy.
To just to fathom, it's just seems like out of a movie. And I think that's a lot of too where our consumption, we think about the movies and what AI has
Oh, for
done.
sure.
So
So we'll do that, and then the one thing I'll tell you guys too is we're not. we're not as close as some people have you believe to having AI be smarter than a human and replace the ability to do things. AI still can't dream or have an imagination yet, or find something that's very mundane and have inspiration to create something around it. It really just can do the kind of things that we show it and ask it to help us with. So there's some time there. But to your point, Nick, if a lot of countries are looking at it, we do have to be careful how we use it. And my biggest thing is don't put it in the military.
I was
Don't
just going to
put
ask you that. Can they use it in the
nuclear in
military?
control of it, or you got Skynet. That's no good.
But could you have AI robot, soldiers?
They're probably
Fighter.
working on all that, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can put constraints on things, right? Hopefully they don't break through those, but yeah. So
With anything new, there's always good, but there's always going to be bad as well. So it's never going to be 100%.
So yeah, another Knox is calling BS on my comment. He said, "Look, I thought Star Trek was a long way away, and then we had flip phones." Okay, fine, you win. I just want you guys to sleep well at night until we actually have the Tuesday night discussion. How's that?
Yes, and we'll Tuesday night at 9 as well. We'll start at 9.
Yeah, we'll do that too. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Nick, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
I
the chat.
had a fun time. So hopefully you guys have a great day. Keep stacking. And if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. At least I think my email and then Nick's Instagram is down below as well. So you guys will see that in the description. And then
don't forget to do your own research. Look at this stuff before you.
Yes. Do your research, look at it all before, and get some advice from people that are investing in that and that have a longer track record in it. Anyway, thank you guys.
See you Tuesday.